In this video, I'm going to be unboxing and taking a close look at PlayStation's Pro controller, the Dualsense Edge. But first, if you enjoy these videos, consider liking and subscribing as I'm getting close to 200 subs. Alright, let's get into this thing. This thing's been out for a while. I know I'm really late to the party as far as an unboxing or a review or checking it out in general. I was real hesitant to try this thing out because I just wasn't sure if I would like it or if it was worth the price of entry for me. At $199 retail, this is not cheap. But let's dig in and see what's in the box. So we've got the controller here in a nice sturdy carrying storage case inside a foam bag. User manual. Here's our nice storage case. Now inside we've got, it looks like a nice long charging cable with USB-C and the controller itself. This thing, just looking at it, it looks and feels a little more premium than the regular Dualsense, which I'm a big fan of. But this one just looks and feels just a bit nicer. Now here we have a little locking mechanism that's optional. It installs on the charging cable and clips into the controller just as insurance to keep the charging cable from getting snatched out. And then we've got these different style back buttons that you can affix to the back and assign whatever actions to them. We've got some different height stick tops. I'm not sure which I'll prefer. I think that's just gonna be a case-by-case basis. Very subjective, you just have to try it and see what you like. We've got a nice long USB-C charging cable. Going around to the back of the controller, both L2 and R2 triggers have an adjustment with 3 positions. At the home position, the triggers squeeze as you would expect them to, just like on the regular Dualsense. In the middle position, the trigger travel is reduced by a good bit. And in the bottom position, you almost have like a hair-like trigger to make shooting much faster and responsive. Aiming down sights could be quicker in first-person shooter games, especially like Call of Duty. You got back buttons, 2 different styles that you can affix back here. And I've intentionally installed the left on the right and the right on the left just to show that you can adjust these a little differently than intended to change their position. Once again, it's going to be completely subjective and just what you prefer. Here's the way they're intended to be installed. And as you can see, they stick out from the bottom of the controller a good bit more than the way I did them the first time. That's something I'll just have to play with and see if I like. Then you have these nubs. They don't really stick out much at all, but they don't really get in the way of your hand placement, the way your fingers naturally want to rest either. It's more intentional when you have to reach out and use them. Now also on the back of the controller towards the bottom is this release button that pops the cover over your joysticks loose so it can be removed. This is how you can remove your left and right stick. If you get drift over time, you can buy a new stick module and simply swap it out with a brand new stick. I have mixed feelings on this. This is kind of a cool design. It's kind of stupid. With the $199 price tag, I would have liked them to just put Hall Effect sticks in here. Drift wouldn't be an issue. Removing them and swapping them wouldn't be an issue. But they cheaped out, and I'm assuming this is just a marketing ploy to get you to purchase replacement sticks instead of sticking slightly more expensive one in here to begin with, and replacing them wouldn't have been an issue. So that's Sony doing Apple moves, basically. The grip is rubberized and textured to enhance grip. If you look really close though, it's not just random patterns, it's actually the PlayStation symbols, the square, triangle, circle, and cross. The carry case is nice premium. I would feel comfortable storing it in here and knowing that it's safe if it were to drop or fall off a table or desk or something like that. There's actually a pass-through hole where you can plug your controller in and have it charging while storing it in the case, which is not super necessary, but it is kind of a cool bonus. Also inside the case is storage for your charging cable, replacement stick tops, and the back buttons. Now let's move over to the PlayStation and set this thing up. The first thing that happens when we plug it in is we have an update. So we'll allow this to finish, and for the sake of time, I've sped this up. Once the update completes, the controller restarts and we're greeted with a little welcome message, kind of guiding us through the setup of this controller and showing us all the ways we can customize it. Now we're shown just a brief guide on the back buttons, existence basically, and how the stick modules can be removed and replaced if needed. Now we're shown how the back buttons can be assigned to any of the face buttons. The sticks can be customized in the software, how they perform, and a little overview on the adjustment button that changes how far the triggers travel. Now, this is probably my favorite feature of the controller. You can set up different profiles, so if there's a certain game where you want the back buttons to perform certain actions, you want the sticks to perform a certain way, you can name that profile and select it for playing that game, and have a completely different profile for another type of game, and easily swap profiles as you swap games instead of having to go through the controller setup each time to change how it behaves. You can just set up profiles for different games and easily swap profiles with just 2 button presses at any time. It's pretty handy, it works well, and I think that's definitely a good feature. Now I'm going to go through the custom profile steps and set up a custom profile for FPS game. Specifically, we'll set one up for Black Ops 6. So I'm just going to name this profile FPS. Now the next step we're taking to is customize button assignments. I don't think I want to change any of the buttons from what they're normally set up as. With the exception of the 2 back buttons, I would like to use those, but I think I'm gonna have to play some and really think about what I want those back buttons to do. I'm not sure how I want those to behave yet. So moving on to stick sensitivity and dead zone. Once again, I think this is something that I'm probably gonna have to just play with and make minor adjustments, play the game, see how I feel about it, make minor adjustments, play the game, and I'm not gonna lie to you, it's pretty overwhelming. Now you can look up other YouTube guides on setting stick sensitivity, changing dead zone for specific games. There's gonna be plenty of them out there trying to tell you the perfect settings for Black Ops 6 or other shooter games. This is completely subjective to me. I don't think it's a one size fits all. I think the point of it is customization. If it was one size fits all, you wouldn't be able to customize it. It's very overwhelming, and I think for the sake of myself and what I'm used to, I think I'll play better leaving it alone. So I don't think I'm gonna mess around with the stick sensitivity curves or the dead zones. I think I'm just gonna leave this stuff alone, but out of curiosity, I'm just kind of going through it and seeing what options there are, but we'll skip to the next section. All right, now moving on to trigger dead zone adjustments. I think this is another tool to change or reduce the travel needed in the trigger pull to activate the trigger button function. In addition to the physical adjustment that you can make, there's 3 settings of how far you want your triggers to physically be able to squeeze in to activate. On the software side, we're able to customize that even further. I sound like a broken record, but once again, it's pretty overwhelming, and I'm probably gonna leave it at 0 and not mess with it. It's not a one size fits all. You'll have to play with it and experiment if you want to change it. As far as vibration intensity, I think I'm going to leave that strong. I enjoy the haptics and the vibrations. It's my favorite thing about the PlayStation 5 controller. I know a lot of people, especially people who play first-person shooters competitively, the first thing they do is turn vibration and haptics off. I don't. I enjoy it. I think it adds a little immersion to the game. So I'm gonna leave that on strong. And I'm gonna think about, as I'm playing games in the future, what I would like to do with the back buttons, and I'll continue to create more custom profiles. I think for now, starting off in Black Ops 6, I think my first experiment will be to use the left back button to jump and the right back button for the crouch and dive buttons. That way I don't have to take my right thumb off of the right stick to press those buttons on the X and circle buttons. So I'll try that and see how that feels and go from there. Continuing through the customization options, we have the ability to change the brightness of the player indicator, which is a little LED light on the controller that displays if you're player 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. We can also customize the brightness of the LED light that lights up all around the touchpad. Now, going back to the controller itself, for charging, it will charge on the official Dualsense charging stand, as you can see here. Obviously, another option for charging is using a USB-C to USB-C cable. Here's another one I have laying around that's 10 feet long, and as you can see, it charges with it too. So that's pretty much the Dualsense Edge controller. It looks nice, it feels nice, it's got some pretty cool features. If you think you might enjoy it, then pick one up and give it a test drive. You might like it. If you've watched this far and you enjoy these unboxing videos, consider subscribing to my channel. I've almost hit 200 subscribers.